in the past I've had a hard time connecting with older queer identified or lesbian identified women, particularly because I feel like it's really hard to talk about trans stuff.
Absolutely.
Like I had this friend and she was like, man, I don't know if I really get this whole trans thing, this whole like genderqueer thing, like basically, like, isn't dyke good enough for you people?
Yes.
Like, we fought so hard for dyke and to be dykes, and now I feel like there's almost a feeling that like my generation is somehow like throwing it away.
I think that the older generation is still hanging on to a little bit of "we're just like you," and I think my generation is like, we're not just like you. Oh, okay, but y'all like way different. Okay, so we're in that. I always say we're this bridge generation because I feel like millennials are really pushing this frame in general. I say all that to say that overall, generationally, millennials are in a different place in the world, and so I think when you're talking about politics and identity politics and issues around sexuality and gender, it's going to go deeper and faster because now you can have conversations across time and space in a way that you didn't with previous generations around this issue.
Definitely. My feeling sometimes is that the older generation just wants us to listen and not to talk. And I think that that from the other side, the older generation sometimes feels like we've just kind of thrown them away and we're not interested in anything they have to say or even acknowledging that like they might have some wisdom to contribute.
I think every generation has that, where youth are in this position where they are the hope of the future, and the older generation is like, if you just listen to the lessons of the past before you go charging into the future. I think that's about anything. I think the stakes are higher now, in part because of the speed with which change is occurring. And I need to talk to my godfather. He's going to be 80 in June, and though he's been telling me the same story since I was 5. There is wisdom that I still haven't captured because I'm still not really listening. You know, I just saw him the other day and he's like going in about some political, I don't even know what he was talking about. And I kind of want to talk about the Mets. I was like, do we stand a chance this season? You know, like he raised me on baseball. Like I wanted to keep it light. And he's like, you don't have time to keep it light. We're in the middle of a revolution. You know, and he marched with Dr. King, which he reminds me of all the time. And I'm like, I'm marching around the lake. Like, where am I going? I'm going to get a cup of coffee. Like, I'm not really engaged in the same way. And I believe that my work is political work, but I know that I struggle because he has tangible evidence of what he's done. And I consider myself part of communities, but am I really part of movements? And so, again, that's a very intellectual thing. When he's standing there and there are dogs and hoses and people, you know what I mean? Like, he's not intellectualizing whether or not he's part of a movement. And that's what I mean. Like, I feel like there's a disconnect, and I feel like technology has done that because we can feel connected to something but not actually be doing anything.